Hey, before we dive in, drop your location in the comments. Let's see which corner of the globe is tuning in while this story unfolds. The evening air drifts cool across the parking lot. Faint sense of asphalt and takeout mingling under flickering streetlights. Judge Cassandra Reed, 45, strides toward her sleek black sedan, her heels clicking against concrete with that steady rhythm of someone who's used to command, not confrontation. Case files tucked under her arm. Tailored black coat snug against the wind. She exudes quiet authority. Yet, tonight, her authority is invisible to the man approaching with the weight of his badge and nothing else. Hey, step away from that car. The shout cuts through the calm, violent and sharp, the kind of bark that seems to make time pause. Her hands freeze on the keys. The crowd begins to coalesce, curious and confused. She's elegant, confident, skin deep brown, catching the glow of the lot lights. But to Officer Dalton, let's call him that, none of that matters. Black equals suspect in his eyes, and the world momentarily bends to his ignorance. Phones rise, whispers swell, and strangers gather, drawn like moths to this public spectacle of assumed guilt. Historians still argue whether public authority is more intoxicating when wielded with fear or ignorance. Tonight feels like both. The cop puffs his chest, boots striking hard against asphalt, hand near the holster in an almost cartoonish show of dominance. He calls in a stolen vehicle, eyes scanning the crowd to gauge their shock. Cassandra doesn't flinch. She's no stranger to power plays, though usually they're wrapped in subpoenas and legal briefs. Not this theater of confusion. Nearby shoppers glance out, some laughing nervously, some recording, unknowingly enshrining the injustice in high definition. There's a stray squirrel nearby, twitching like it knows something the humans don't. And for a fleeting second, the absurdity of it all makes the edge of fear feel almost comical. Minutes stretch. Another patrol car screeches in, blue and red lights painting her face in cruel, pulsating colors. Dalton struts, convinced of his victory, yelling that they've caught a thief. She doesn't respond, doesn't even raise an eyebrow, letting the moment grow thick with tension. The license plate on her car glints under the fluorescent lights, initials matching her name. But the officer's pride blinds him to the obvious. The crowd sways between fascination and discomfort. The line between justice and spectacle blurs. It's the kind of public confrontation that could end tragically with one wrong move. Yet Cassandra's experience anchors Hera's steady calm that commands even without words. The scene thickens as Cassandra stands, unshaken, letting Dalton build his own trap of arrogance. He demands identification with the air of a man convinced he's in a crime drama, while she calmly reaches into her coat and hands over her license. The name stares back at him, Cassandra Reed. The crowd's murmurs spike as she adds, without raising her voice, that she's the judge over the very court his department reports to. Dalton laughs, a harsh, dismissive sound, as if the universe had just handed him the punchline. But humor is in the eyes of the one who understands it. The joke, as everyone watching would soon realize, is on him. Meanwhile, phones continue to rise like little lighthouses, capturing every second. Historians still argue whether public documentation changes the behavior of authority. And here, it's undeniable that the officer's misstep is frozen for eternity. A younger, more observant officer finally glances at the system, eyes narrowing at the digital confirmation. The car is registered to Judge Reed. His whisper carries over, subtle but fatal. Dalton's face shifts, first disbelief, then the slow, draining realization that he's been humiliated in front of everyone. And it's not a misunderstanding anyone will forget. Cassandra's composure remains, a stark contrast to his flailing pride. She doesn't shout, doesn't plead, doesn't attempt to correct the narrative in real time. She knows that patience, combined with the truth, could be a sharper weapon than rage. There's a quirky detail, a small parking lot fire hydrant behind her, bright red and almost comically out of place, like a silent witness to the unfolding drama. The crowd pivots, seeing the absurdity and the injustice at once. Every phone camera has captured Dalton's overreach. His laugh, the misplaced swagger, now set against the undeniable truth. As whispers turn to gasps, Cassandra steps forward, just enough for eye contact, a silent assertion that she controls this moment. Every element conspires in her favor: the law, the evidence, and the eyes of the public. The younger officer's admission punctures the scene like a pin in a balloon, and Dalton realizes too late that the rope he built from arrogance is now around his own career. The power dynamic flips effortlessly. The supposed criminal has become the authority, the enforcer revealed as the fool. A debate could swirl endlessly over whether public shaming is effective or cruel. But here, it's justice in motion, a real-life illustration of integrity and patience trumping impulsive authority. By the next morning, the ripple from that parking lot had turned into a tidal wave. Social media is relentless, and every swipe, like, and share spreads the story of Judge Cassandra Reed, the woman publicly accused of stealing her own car. Headlines scream indignantly: Black judge accused of theft, while the videos circulating capture Dalton's arrogance in unflinching detail. Community outrage surges. Activists demand accountability. The department scrambles, issuing statements that feel weak against the weight of documented evidence and public scrutiny. Meanwhile, Cassandra walks into her courtroom with an almost cinematic ease, robe on shoulders, gavel in hand, her authority untouched by the chaos outside. Dalton faces a disciplinary board, his once clean record now marred by the viral humiliation of his own making. Recommendations for suspension escalate to termination within weeks. Irony dances through the scene. The badge he wielded to intimidate becomes the instrument that ends his career. Public pressure, evidence, and the unflinching dignity of Judge Reed align perfectly. Scholars still debate the long-term effects of viral accountability on law enforcement careers. But in this case, the lesson is clear: integrity, patience, and truth are formidable allies. A quirky aside the vending machine in the courthouse lobby, where the popcorn always gets stuck, seems trivial but reminds us that even small details exist in this high-stakes theater of human behavior. Cassandra's silence during the confrontation emerges as a strategic masterstroke. She doesn't need to shout or argue. Her calm magnifies Dalton's error, and the public sees everything. The younger officer who first spotted the mistake becomes a quiet hero. His observant glance a reminder that competence and attentiveness matter just as much as authority. The incident sparks conversations nationwide about racial bias, abuse of power, and the ways individuals can confront injustice without losing their composure. The juxtaposition of humiliation and triumph, of arrogance versus measured response, is almost cinematic. Citizens and scholars alike will continue to debate whether the public exposure of authority figures helps or harms institutional trust. But one thing is undeniable here: justice, though delayed and tested, prevails. And as the weeks pass, Dalton's absence becomes a testament to accountability. Cassandra Reed continues her work, her gavel echoing through the halls of the courthouse, a quiet reminder that dignity can withstand even the harshest public scrutiny. The crowd, once witness to her humiliation, now recognizes her as the embodiment of Black excellence and resilience, a story turned full circle by patience, intellect, and courage. The evening settles gently over the courthouse and city streets, lights softening, the hum of distant traffic fading into calm. Judge Cassandra Reed walks alone for a moment, savoring the quiet after the storm, feeling the cool air brush against her face. A reminder that life keeps moving even after chaos. The world witnessed injustice, and yet here she stands, steady, embodying resilience that outlasts anger and fear. In this quiet, the lesson lingers. Dignity cannot be stolen. Patience can disarm arrogance, and truth eventually finds its way. Even in darkness, justice leaves a gentle, enduring glow.